Hello, friends. Welcome to the course of Marketing Management 1. I am Professor Vinod Malkar, Faculty of Marketing, under the unit number 2, Consumer Behavior. Today, we are going to discuss organizational buying behavior, comparison between organizational buying and consumer buying, and buying rules. So, we had already learned 5 steps of buyer decision process. So, that is nothing but the consumer buying behavior, but there is certain difference between organizational buying behavior and consumer buying behavior because lots of sentiments and emotions are involved in the consumer buying behavior process. However, in organizational buying behavior, the steps something are different because of the organization is buying the certain goods. So every organization having a certain requirement to solve their problems. It may be of production or it may be of finished goods. So whatever the problems in front of them, so they recognize problem, what kind of goods they required, what kinds of parts they required, what kinds of raw material they required. So that is nothing but the problem recognitions or need recognition also we can say that. Once these problem recognitions happen, so that general descriptions of that item or that need has been defined, and the product specifications in the third steps has been defined by the purchase department. So they will write if certain laptops is required for the organizations. So they will write what kind of specification, it means screen size, the hard disk, then the RAM. So these all are the specifications they has to clear cut mentions. So in the third step that happens. So and then the organization is finding the suppliers for that particular kind of product. So there may be, if we take an example of laptop requirement for an organizations, so they found that in the first step, the need of the laptop, why they need the laptops, then general description for what purposes they need the laptop, then specification which includes weight, size, RAM, hard disk, or touch screens, processor. So everything is defined under product specifications. And then purchase manager for supplier search. So they will approach to the supplier of Dell, Lenovo, HP, or so many companies that are in the market, and who are their suppliers, they will find out. And then once the quotations has been called from the supplier, negotiation happens, and after negotiation, the acquisition and analysis. So that is nothing but the negotiation and arranging the quotations with lowest orders or which product solves their particular kind of requirement, and then they finalize the party, that is nothing but the supplier selections. Maybe depends on the experience of the supplier, maybe depends on the lowest quote done by the suppliers. On that basis supplier selections has done, and then the purchase order has been given to them, and then routine that is has been followed. So the goods has been checked at these positions, and the performance has been reviewed as per the expectations or not. So from organization to organization, there is certain changes in the steps. This is general guidelines just to know you that there is a difference between organizational buying behavior or organizational buying process and consumer buying process. So in case of consumer buying decision process, we had gone through only 5 steps, that is need recognition, information search, evaluation of alternatives, purchase decisions, and post purchase behavior. But in case of organizational buying, these are something different. In nutshell, if we had comparisons between organizational and individual buying behavior, so B2B and consumer. So if you see the demand in case of business to business, it is an organizational in nature, while consumer it is in individual in nature. Generally, in organizational buying behavior, the volume required is larger, and consumer is a smaller volume. So if laptop and computer that is for personal use may be one, and larger for an organizations. Here in B2B, there are fewer customer in organizational buying. So there are a few customers. But in case of consumer buying, you have to deal with many consumer. Location here about business to business. So it's a concentrated. But here consumers are dispersed or, they are spread across the population. Distributions here more direct, so from company directly to the organizations, and in this case consumer oriented, it is more directed, maybe with distributor, retailer, and then consumer. So like that there is a channel members to distribute many times the goods from marketer or the company to the consumer. In the case of nature of buy, it's a more professional, and in the case of consumer, it's a more personal. Buying influence. So in organizational buying, there are multiple influences because of it's a decision in organization. So from department heads, purchase, the persons, so much of persons involving in the buying influences. But here single you many times finds. In case of organizational buying, business to business, the negotiations are more complex. The parties are called for the negotiation, and the negotiation process takes a lot of time. But in case of consumer, the negotiation is simpler. Reciprocity here is yes, and you find here is no. Leasing here is greater, and again very lesser leasing is happen. And promotional here is a personal B2B, and in this case there are full type of advertising that can be done so that consumer can demand that products to the stores. So this is just about something difference between consumer buying behavior and organizational buying behavior. There are 6 buying roles. The first role is initiator. So those who initiate generally first, as the products has been launched and some consumers take an initiate to buy that product, so he is called as an initiator. Then somebody is influence, so that those who are influencing in the buying decision process is called influencer. Sometime your friends take initiate and your family influence, but you are the decider of who takes the decision to buy the products, and the buyer who pays the money for that products, user who actually uses the product, and gatekeeper who controls the information at the last stage. So these are 6 buying roles: initiator, influencer, decider, buyer, user, and gatekeeper. So initiator who initiate the buying process, influencer who influencing the buying decision, decider who decides to buy the products, buyer who pays the money for that product, user who uses that product, and at the last moment who controls the informations is called as an gatekeeper. So these are the 6 buying roles. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe our channel SK for getting all updated video in the marketing management.